If you're getting SSI right now, or someone you love depends on it, I need you to listen up, because there's some news that could impact nearly 400,000 people starting as soon as next year. And before you panic, because I know how scary these headlines can be when you're already struggling, I'm going to break down exactly what this means, who's affected, and most importantly, what you can do about it. Hey everyone, I'm here with another update that affects real families dealing with real financial challenges. And look, I get it. When you see SSI cuts in a headline, your heart probably drops. Mine did too when I first saw this report. But I read through all the technical details so you don't have to. And I'm going to give it to you straight. The good, the bad, and what you need to know to protect yourself and your family. Before we dive in, if this kind of information helps you navigate these systems, make sure you hit that subscribe button and ring the bell. This stuff changes all the time, and I want to make sure you're always in the know. So let's start with what we're actually talking about here. The Social Security Administration has been working on something called overpayment accountability. And honestly, that bureaucratic language doesn't tell you much, does it? Here's what it really means. SSA has been trying to crack down on cases where people might have received more SSI than they were supposed to get. Now, sometimes this happens because of honest mistakes. Maybe income wasn't reported correctly, or there was confusion about resources, or the system itself made an error. It happens more than you'd think. The goal, according to the agency, is to make sure benefits are being paid accurately and to recover money that was paid in error. And look, I understand why that matters. These programs need to be sustainable for everyone who depends on them. But the way they're going about it is what has a lot of advocates really concerned. Let me paint you a picture of who we're talking about here. Because this isn't just numbers on a spreadsheet. These are real people in your community. We're talking about 400,000 individuals who could see their monthly SSI payments reduced by up to $300. That's massive when you consider that the maximum SSI payment right now is only about $914 for an individual. So for some people, this could mean losing a third of their income. Who are these folks? Well, a lot of them are people who've been dealing with disabilities that prevent them from working full-time. I'm talking about single moms managing chronic illnesses while trying to raise kids, veterans dealing with PTSD or physical injuries from their service, elderly people who never earned enough during their working years to get substantial Social Security benefits. And here's something that really gets to me. Many of these people had no idea there was even an issue with their payments. Imagine going years thinking you're following all the rules, budgeting carefully with the little income you have, and then suddenly being told you owe thousands of dollars back. Sarah from Ohio wrote to me last month. She's been getting SSI for 3 years due to a disability that makes it hard for her to work. She just found out. SSA says she was overpaid by $4.200 because of a reporting error she didn't even know she made. Now they want to take $300 from her monthly check until it's paid back. That $300 is her grocery money for the month. So here's what's actually happening with these changes. The Social Security Administration is implementing new recovery procedures for overpayments, and they're being more aggressive about it than they have been in the past. Previously, if SSA determined you had been overpaid, they would typically recover about 10% of your monthly benefit. So if you got $800 a month, they might take $80 until the overpayment was recovered. Still tough, but manageable for most people. But under these new procedures, they can take up to $300 per month, regardless of your total benefit amount. According to the report I reviewed, this affects overpayments that occurred after a specific date in 2023, and the recovery can start immediately once they've determined an overpayment exists. Now here's where it gets complicated, and this is important. They're also changing how they determine if someone can afford these larger deductions. The old system looked more carefully at individual circumstances. The new approach is more standardized, which means less flexibility for people who are truly struggling. Let me walk you through how this actually works, because understanding the process is crucial if this affects you. First, SSA conducts what they call a redetermination. Basically, they review your case to see if your payments have been accurate. This can be triggered by various things: a routine review, a report from another agency, or sometimes just randomly. If they determine there's been an overpayment, you'll get a notice. And this is critical. You have 60 days from when you receive that notice to either pay it back in full or request a waiver. If you don't respond within those 60 days, the automatic recovery starts. Here's what a lot of people don't know. You can request a payment plan, you can appeal the overpayment determination, and you can request what's called a waiver if you believe the overpayment wasn't your fault or if paying it back would cause financial hardship. But, and this is a big but, you have to know to ask for these options. The notices don't always make it clear what your rights are. Okay, so I promised I'd give you some good news. And here it is. First, if you're currently receiving SSI and you haven't gotten any overpayment notices, this probably doesn't affect you right now. The vast majority of SSI recipients aren't dealing with overpayment issues. Second, there are protections in place. If recovering the overpayment would leave you unable to meet basic living expenses, you can request a hardship waiver. They have to consider your rent, food costs, medical expenses, all of that. Third, advocacy groups are fighting this hard. The National Organization of Social Security Claimants Representatives has filed formal objections, and several members of Congress have asked SSA to reconsider these policies. And here's something really important. If you disagree with an overpayment determination, you have rights. You can appeal, you can request a hearing, and you can have representation help you through the process. All right, let's talk action steps because that's what matters most. If you get an overpayment notice, don't ignore it. I know it's scary and overwhelming, but you have options if you act quickly. First, read it carefully. Sometimes there are genuine errors in SSA's calculations. Second, if you can't afford the proposed recovery amount, request a lower payment plan immediately. Don't wait. You can call the number on the notice or visit your local Social Security office. Third, if you believe the overpayment wasn't your fault, maybe you reported changes but they didn't process them correctly, request a waiver. You'll need to fill out Form SSA 632 and be prepared to provide documentation. If you need help navigating this, contact your local legal aid office or a disability advocacy group. Many of them help with SSI issues for free. And for everyone watching, whether this affects you directly or not, stay informed about your benefits. Keep copies of everything you submit to Social Security. If your circumstances change, your income, your living situation, anything, report it right away. It's much easier to prevent overpayments than to deal with them after the fact. Here's the thing about these kinds of policy changes. They don't happen in a vacuum. SSA is under pressure to reduce improper payments, and I get that. But the way they're going about it is putting a huge burden on people who are already vulnerable. The good news is that there's still time for changes. Advocates are pushing for SSA to reconsider the $300 recovery limit. Some are asking for better notice procedures so people understand their options. Others want more flexibility in hardship considerations. If this issue affects you or someone you care about, consider reaching out to your representatives. Real stories from real people matter when policy decisions are being made. Look, I know this information can feel overwhelming, especially if you're already dealing with health issues or financial stress. But remember, you're not alone in this. There are people and organizations fighting for you, and there are resources available to help. In the description below, I've included links to the Social Security Administration's Overpayment Information page, free legal aid resources by state, advocacy organizations that can help, forms you might need if you're dealing with an overpayment. And remember, even if you're facing an overpayment situation, it's not the end of the world. These things can be resolved, especially if you know your rights and get help when you need it. Before you go, if this information was helpful, please hit that like button and subscribe for more updates on benefits, assistance programs, and financial resources for people dealing with tough times. And check out the video I did last month on SSI reporting requirements. It might help you avoid overpayment issues in the first place. There's also one on appealing Social Security decisions that could be really valuable if you're dealing with any kind of benefits issue. Most importantly, take care of yourself. These systems are complicated, and it's not your fault if you find them confusing or overwhelming. But with the right information and support, you can navigate them. I'll see you in the next video, and remember, you've got this.